It's been 4 months since a major report exposed hundreds of claims of physical and sexual abuse in the Australian Defence Force over a period of decades. But there's still been no official announcement from the federal government on what it'll do. Some victims and their advocates are sick of waiting, and now a new inquiry is going ahead. The Senate established the investigation this afternoon, as Hayden Cooper reports.
Come on.
It's 42 years since John White left the Navy, and he's still haunted by his past, for he wasn't just a victim of a culture of brutality, he was a participant.
I'm not proud of what happened. I think that everyone that serves in the Defence Forces should be proud. I have not felt that from the day I got out of the Navy. I've carried with me a sense of guilt, a sense of shame associated with those events.
When he joined, he was just 15 and quickly learned the way things worked at HMAS Lewin, the Navy base in Western Australia where some of the worst cases of sexual and physical abuse took place.
Dear Beryl, my sister, today I had my first fist fight.
At the time, John White wrote constantly to his family. The letters detail a miserable and desperate existence.
Kids have been trying to kill themselves and all. To put it plainly, I want to come home.
He was often on the receiving end of beatings and abuse. Now he sees himself as the product of the system because he was forced to respond in kind.
I learnt very early in the piece that if I was to survive my time at HMAS Lewin, I had to stand up for myself, and therefore, hence I became a perpetrator. And it was easy enough to defend yourself, albeit I still copped my fair share of hidings along the way.
The breaking point, quite literally, came after one serious incident, a fight with a colleague.
I broke my hand, I broke his face, and we were both in trouble.
The young sailor went AWOL and never returned. His experiences are eerily similar to the stories of hundreds of others, whose allegations of abuse have been looked at by DLA Piper, the law firm appointed by the government to investigate.
There are a lot of people in my position, and the outcome needs to be determined, and it needs to be determined fairly quickly.
A number of serious allegations that have been made to the DLA Piper review have not even been investigated.
With no word yet on what the government does next with the DLA Piper review, the Senate is going it alone. The Coalition and the Greens have backed a move by Senator Nick Xenophon to launch a new inquiry. It'll investigate the government's response and look at how the hundreds of victims should be treated.
Well, it's been 4 months since the DLA Piper review handed down its recommendations. We haven't seen the second volume of the report. The government hasn't responded, and it's important that there be a robust system in place to deal with these allegations in a way that is fair for all parties concerned. And what is clear from the DLA Piper review is that there are massive gaps in the way that these claims are dealt with, the reporting mechanisms, and even having a basic database to track these sorts of complaints.
The common complaint seems to be a lack of communication. Several abuse victims 730 has contacted say they're unaware of what's happening with their cases. They haven't been told if their complaints are deemed legitimate, despite almost 18 months passing since they first made submissions to DLA Piper.
I'm worried about these victims, and I think our focus needs to be upon them and what they want.
The Minister is due to announce his move by year's end. His opposite number is backing the new Senate inquiry because he says he wants action sooner.
The Minister has opened Pandora's box without a plan, and really this is just the most crazy thing. Let's deal with these complainants efficiently, effectively, potentially informally, and give them an apology. Let's have a compensatory system available to them, but for goodness sake, let's get on with it.
John White fears that the longer this process takes, the more damage it does to the victims of abuse. His wife Tanya knows what he means and lives daily with the aftermath of his traumatic experience.
Sometimes I know when John has been very depressed, and I walk in the house and I can hear a particular John Denver CD being played. I race around to find him, hoping that he's still breathing. Because sometimes when he's in a deep, dark place, I get scared that I'm going to come home and find him somewhere. Dead.
It was not an easy time. It was, it was a time when, as a 15-year-old, you were shit scared of what was about to happen to you. You didn't know from which angle, the next punch was going to come. You didn't know what the next piece of discipline being dealt out was going to be. You didn't know when was right, what was wrong. It was tough. It was very tough.
Hayden Cooper with that report.